Done.
Hi everyone, I hope everyone's doing well. Well, we're only 2 minutes behind schedule, so I'll consider that for a win for today. I'm just going to start off introducing myself. My name is Maritza Gardner. I am the new directora de bienestar for the MEN program for 2018. So what that means is that I am kind of in charge of all of the RCs, and more or less I am kind of the top of this pyramid that is RCs and FMEs. So I'm going to be conducting this webinar today. Many may recognize me as well. I worked in recruitment last year when the program was under the organization of Heart for Change Volunteers Colombia, and I was also a regional coordinator in UAG. So I know the program pretty well, and I will do my best to answer all of your questions. I am very pendiente of the computer for the questions. So basically what I'm going to start off with is kind of a rundown of the frequently asked questions that we've had. And I'm first going to start off with documents because that's a very important thing that we need to touch on. So documentation, of course it seems like we're asking for a lot of documents, background checks, medical clearances. We just keep asking. But that's because this is a government-funded project. We work with the Ministry of Education. We ask for visas through the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. So we really have to be super thorough in making sure that everyone has their documentation saying that they, one, are saying who they say they are, two, have the qualifications that we need you to have in order to teach English here, three, in order to really assure the safety and well-being of both you guys and the students in the school. That's just really important. It's a big liability issue, so that's why we need to be super thorough with documents. That being said, documentation is also used to solicit a visa. So how does the visa process work? First, we're going to get all your documentation. We are going to review it. We are going to compare the validity of your documents. That's an important thing to touch on as well. Sorry, I'm kind of all over, but in the past with other programs, we have had issues with fraud. It's a very serious issue here in Colombia. It's a legal problem. It's an offense by Colombian law to present falsified documents. We have had people that have forged health insurances. We have had people that forged diplomas. We have had people that have actually gone and taken visa invitation letters that we have sent to accepted candidates, and they have been able to solicit visas, even though they were not accepted to the program. So this really puts the whole program in jeopardy when false documents are presented. And so we have been in contact with the countries that this typically happens in, and we have a vetting process to process all these documents and assure that they are not indeed fraudulent. So please, if you're watching this, I feel bad saying this, but just to cover all the bases, if you're watching this right now and you have presented a fraudulent document, we are vigilantly checking them, and really you're compromising this whole program. If there are incidences of fraud, like there were last year, there are nationwide bans put out. So that is what happened last year with residents from Ghana and Nigeria. We ultimately had to, actually Foreign Affairs canceled everyone's visas. So that being said, it's very, very important to make sure your documentation is valid, it's true, and it's thorough. So we put a deadline on asking for documents today. Usually when this process goes, it's usually a bigger team that's processing these documents. Currently we have one girl who is dealing with many of you and many documents. There are way more of you guys than her, and she has been working tirelessly to make sure everyone's documents are processed. So real apologies for the delay. Members from the team are jumping in to make sure these documents get reviewed and processed. But since we are doing a more thorough vetting process too, it takes a while. So if we haven't gotten back to your email, again, we apologize, but we're diligently working, but there's only so many hours in a day, and we do need to sleep at least 3 hours a night, which is what we are running on right now. So documentation, it really needs to all be sent in as soon as possible. We have received the first batch of visa letters. So those are going to go out today as well. Those are very important to get out. so you can start the visa process. But your documentation is what is ultimately going to get you a visa letter. So with a visa letter, it is basically a letter from the Ministry of Education saying so-and-so with this passport number is going to apply for a TPV visa. It's a volunteer visa that is at no cost to you. So what that means is that you're going to use this letter and you're going to apply for a TPV visa online. And after you get approved with your visa, you can then solicit a cédula, but that process will happen once you get to Colombia. We will help you with the cédula process. So the visa is at no cost to you. It's a can't think of the word in English right now, but it is a free visa that we sponsor and help you solicit. So another important thing to touch on is people from restricted nations that don't have visas before coming to Colombia. I am not aware of all the restricted nations that Colombia has. It's a long list. So if you have any doubts that you're from a restricted nation, they're often Ghana, Nigeria, Uganda, Zimbabwe. I think Zimbabwe. If you have any doubts, please do just a basic old-fashioned Google search, Colombia restricted nations visa, and you will find more information if you need to have a visa. If you are from a restricted nation and have not turned in all your documentation, this is incredibly sensitive at this point in time. We need to get those visa letters to you now so you can solicit the visas. And so if you don't have all your documentation, we can't send your name to the ministry to send you an invitation letter. So please be very pendiente, which is kind of like, be very aware of where you're at in the process and your documentation. Another point to talk is if you're from a restricted nationality as well, most times you cannot even board a plane if you don't have a visa. So please just make sure that you have all your documentation in order and you're ready to present that so we can get you a letter. The visa name is, I believe it's a TPV visa. In the past it's been like a TP1 visa, but they changed the visa process here and consolidated it down to just a few names. So it's going to be the TPV visa. Another important issue on documents. Another huge, very important document to have is health insurance. You must be covered from January 28th until the end of the program. So what we say is June 30th. You must be covered for the entirety, whether it's with FAS, which is the Colombian insurance system here, or by international health insurance. It's super important that you have total coverage, reliability for the program, and we want to make sure that everyone can receive proper medical care. You don't want to show up to the doctor without insurance, like in every part of the world, and realize that you have to pay out of pocket $400. That's just not expenses that we can cover for you, and of course, with the stipend, it's most likely not something that you would want to cover either. So please make sure that your health insurance is valid from that point on and that you're covered for the entirety of the program. And it's a necessary program to have. How it works with documentation as well is that we present all your documents to the Ministry of Education, which is a huge branch here. And we say essentially like, look, we've got these documents, we're vouching for these people, here are their documentation. And we have to prove to the ministry that you guys have all of your documentation. This is not a lacune rule. This is a rule from the Ministry of Education which runs this program. So that's another thing to keep in mind, that there are essentially many organizations working together to make this program happen. In the past, I know I've dealt with people blaming the organization, and really we are the facilitators. We don't make the rules, we don't decide who gets a visa and who doesn't. That is foreign affairs that has the last say on that. So if by chance your visa, hopefully this doesn't happen, if by chance your visa does get denied, that is a permanent decision on the part of the foreign affairs. That is not a decision that the PUN can reverse. That is not a decision that the Ministry of Education can reverse. That is a decision by the foreign affairs. When do we get the visa recommendation letter? We have a batch of letters that have come in today. There are lots of you and lots of emails to send out with the letters. We want to make sure that everyone gets the correct letter. So we are getting the first batch out today. I will be completely honest, I am working on hiring regional coordinators, not letters, so I don't know how many letters have actually come. But I have heard that it is a lot. So hopefully a lot of you will receive that letter today. I am already in Colombia as I've been traveling for a while. Do you know how I can see a doctor in Medellin to get the health clearance document signed? Isabel, great question. Actually getting a medical clearance in Colombia is pretty simple. It's probably easier than in the States. On the Facebook group, someone has commented, I forgot who it was, but someone commented that they walked into a clinic for 15,000 pesos, they got a medical clearance. So check out the Facebook group and see if you can get any information about that. Yes, Laura, you will get the visa recommendation letter by email. Also, important thing to note with visa applications. You will be doing it online. The idea is to send you guys a complete step-by-step guide of how to exactly fill out this form. It seems like kind of a no-brainer. You fill in your information and get your pictures and you post it. It's actually a very delicate process. I worked 6 months doing these visas, and I consider myself a bit of an expert with the TP1 visa system. And there were even sometimes where I would apply for people and they would come back and say, no, that's not good enough. Correct. So please be super vigilant about your data while applying for the visa. So once you get your visa, you will bring that to orientation, and like I mentioned, we will help you get that stamped at Foreign Affairs. That is also a process that you have to go through. You get it stamped right in your passport, and then from there you can apply for a cedula, and your RC will be helping you with that process within your regions. Another theme I'd like to talk about that I mentioned in the previous webinars yesterday, the issue of placements. Placements are a delicate process. There are lots of great cities in Colombia, there's no doubt about that. But there are some cities that are more suitable for certain profiles than others. For example, we prefer to have only males in Ipiales. It's just something that we've taken on. We've seen that some trends, and so we only put males in Ipiales. So it's, like I mentioned, it's a delicate process. You have to be aware of where you're sending people. We coordinate our input on which schools you should be in as well. Some schools, unfortunately, here deal with sexual harassment in the schools, either on behalf of the students or on behalf of the faculty, which is really a thing of culture here. It's something that can be uncomfortable, but that's part of the culture here, and so we want to make sure that we're putting people in that can handle these placements. So that's why this process is taking a little longer. If you haven't received a placement, it doesn't mean that you're out of the program. It just means that we have to take a little time and be vigilant about where we're putting people. We've had a lot of questions about Bogota. Bogota appeared on the list of placements for the first time this year. What are the placements in Bogota? We have one placement left, and it is actually not in a public school like the rest of the regions in the program. It's actually a program with wounded soldiers, so you'll be teaching English to wounded soldiers here. And it's a lead teaching position, and they have asked, in their feedback from last year, they have asked for people who speak Spanish to be able to communicate with these soldiers, and we need profiles that are really sensitive to the needs of the organization. There are obviously some psychological components to being a wounded soldier here in Colombia, so we're really looking for a specific profile, and those are the parameters for the Bogota placement. So consider Bogota probably off of most of your lists. However, we do offer spots around Bogota in more or less suburbs. Chía, Punta, Mosquera, Cajica, those are relatively close to Bogota, and it will be up to you where you want to live. If you'd like to live in Bogota and commute every day to Cajica, then that is your choice. Who is responsible for the visa process and cost? Ahmed had kind of touched on this. This is at no cost to you. This is a courtesy visa. And the visa process is kind of what I already talked about in the webinar. If you've missed it, I think it's being recorded so you can play it back at a later time. I sent it. Hadley, the situation is that if you haven't heard from me, or Gabriella is in charge of the process. I'm trying to help her out, but like I said, we're all up to here right now, trying to get everything sorted out in the next 9 days. So if you have sent in all your documentation and you haven't heard anything, consider yourself okay. Like I said, we're diligently working. It's a lot. There's not a big recruitment team like there was last year. And we haven't been working with as many allies as, like, for example, Greenheart, where they're in charge of collecting all your documents. So you can imagine how many documents that we have to go through right now. And please, 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 I can't stress enough, we're asking for patience. Like, we realize you guys are antsy, but if you have sent in all your documentation, if it is not fake, if it is exactly what we're asking for, then consider yourself okay. What are the age ranges of the schools and students? So with this program, they are in public high schools. You'll be working with grades 9 and 10. The initiative is for grades 9 and 10. However, with school scheduling, things can be crazy, and they might put you with 11th graders for an hour. They might put you with 8th graders for an hour. It's kind of where the needs are outside of 9 and 10. So those are the age ranges. Nina Dahesh. Hi everyone, is everyone in the same position without a placement? No, lots of people have received their placements already, Nina. As I just mentioned, it's a big process for everyone. In the past, we have sent out placements all at once to avoid this kind of confusion. But this year, it's a new organization, it's a new team, and they felt confident in gauging the profiles, and so they've been sending out on an individual basis. Like I mentioned, if you have not received a placement, that does not mean that you are out of the program. It's just a very sensitive process, and it's part of my retention plan, actually, is to better place you guys. I want you guys to be happy, I want your schools to be happy, and it's really important to match people with schools and areas that match well. Another thing is that lots of placements have gone out. Medellin, there are probably about 30 spots in Medellin. There are probably about over 300, 400 of you. So you can imagine that at this point your preferences are just preferences. They're not guarantees. So what that means is that these placements are going to get narrower and narrower, and for people that have turned in their documents, we recognize that, and we're doing our best, but just keep an open mind. This is a program about education. It's not a program about being in Medellin. Love Medellin. I would live in Medellin. I would request Medellin. But that's not what this program is about. So we ask that everyone keeps an open mind about their placements. Of course, we understand you're anxious to receive a placement at all. I would be too. It's where you can be living for the next 6 months. But you will have lots of information given to you at orientation about your placement when you receive it as well. So just hang tight, please. Levi Perez. I'll take a look at your profile. I'm specifically looking for profiles for this program. I have access to feedback that we've gotten in the years past. So if you could email me, or if you're part of the Facebook group, please private message me and we'll talk about it. Okay, so continuing on, orientation. Orientation is going to be from January 28th until February 5th. As mentioned in the Facebook group, if you're not part of the Facebook group, here's a reminder. Your accommodation will be provided from January 28th until February 5th. If you arrive January 26th, 23rd, 24th, so on, your accommodation will not be provided. If you get to Colombia before January 28th, your accommodation, your food, your transportation to orientation, you are responsible for that. So just keep that in mind and make arrangements prior to orientation. When you arrive here from January 28th to February 5th, you will have all your food and accommodation provided for you. There will be training sessions about security, pedagogy, regions. You'll meet your regional coordinators, which we're finalizing the team right now, so very exciting. And so on February 5th, you guys will fly to region. That transportation is provided by the program. So if you are going to La Costa, Barranquilla, Santa Marta, Cartagena, we're going to provide that transportation by plane. So anywhere, I guess, better put. Cundinamarca has various placements, like I mentioned, Mosquera, Punta, Girardot, some places in Boyacá, like Tunja, Villaleva. You guys will not be traveling by plane. You guys will most likely be traveling by bus. It's a simple bus right away. So, but that transportation is covered by the program. Yes, we have a Facebook group, 2018 Men Program. Again, shout out to Samantha Lobato and Lucy James for really managing that page. You guys have been awesome. So there's lots of information about that. Lots of previous fellows are coming back to the program, so they most likely have a lot of information of what happens on the ground. So definitely join that Facebook group. Are we working with co-teachers in the classroom? Christina, this program is modeled as a co-teaching program. So you will be working alongside a Colombian co-teacher. What this means is that you will be planning with the teacher, lesson plans. You will be teaching them 24 hours for the week, and it's really an interesting experience. They, of course, you guys have experience in teaching English, but they have experience teaching English in Colombia. So what you bring to the program is your knowledge of English and your culture. Oftentimes you'll find out that maybe the students don't come out with C2 English, and it's important to keep that in perspective. But the cultural immersion that you're providing these students is really invaluable. I remember when I taught English myself, a lot of the students didn't even realize that there were other countries outside of Colombia. That's not a joke. So this exposure for them is really invaluable, and that's what you guys are here for. So yes, you will be co-teaching. Hotel confirmation. Yes. Great question. Today's Friday, and we are currently here with the Ministry of Education. My colleagues are in the other room, meeting with them, presenting their proposals for the hotel. We apologize for the delay. I know you guys are anxious to find out where to go once you land here. And in the past, we've been able to easily tell you Hotel La Fontana. That's usually been the hotel that has been in agreement with the program. However, this year, this is going to be our biggest orientation of all programs. So, it's important to find a hotel that has the capacity for all of you guys. And that's proven to be a little trickier than initially thought. So, hang tight for the hotel. We have to get everything kind of approved, go through lots of red tape, budgets, and everything. So, please, again, hang tight. Hopefully I will have a name for you by the end of today and can get that out to you guys and by email or by Facebook or people with ESL Starter. I've been communicating with Claire and Phil, so they'll always be the people that have the information for you. What other things to touch on besides orientation? Do you guys have any questions about orientation? I guess this is your time to ask away. I don't know if I'm providing repetitive information or not, but any other questions would be good. Laura, Ashley Deal for the Facebook group, 2018 Men Program. Just search it on Facebook and it'll pop up. Lots of information on there. Another question we've been getting a lot. In years past, from 2014 to 2016, it was usual protocol for the program to provide 1 month's accommodation once you arrive to your region. However, last year we did not offer that. This year we do not offer that. So once you arrive to region with your group and with your regional coordinator, you guys will be responsible for your first month accommodation. So as soon as you touch down, you are financially responsible for everything from that point on. So what that means is that in collaboration with your regional coordinator, part of their job is to help you find housing. And the requirement, they're being very strict about this year, much to my dismay, as I am the leader, but I agree with it. They have to have proven extensive knowledge of the region. So most likely your coordinators are going to have contacts, they're going to know hostels, they're going to know apartments, hotels, to help you out with. Ultimately, it's your decision of what you're looking for in housing. The program does not set guidelines for, no, you have to live together. No, you cannot have your boyfriend over at 12 that night. Whatever you want to do. That is you guys are adults, and we leave that decision up to you. And you will be financially responsible for that. Also, another important thing to note your first month, you guys will not be receiving your first stipend until the end of February. You guys are not going to get here and immediately get that stipend. They are usually paid at the end of the month, so please be aware that you need to have savings to get you through the first month. Your costs are going to be on your own. And that includes the cost of this ayuda upfront, which is 183,000 pesos, roughly about $60. That's what it was last year. It could have gone up a little, some pesos, not that much. It usually doesn't increase that much. You guys will be responsible for that cost, and we will reimburse you through your direct account with the program. Management of class hours, 8 hours. Evaluation, 4 hours. So there are some differences for people that have participated in the program in the past this year. What we were finding, what the ministry actually was finding through our reporting is that there wasn't a lot of follow-up on behalf of the regional coordinators. They do an awesome job, don't get me wrong. They are essential to this program, but there was maybe it could have been improved. The follow-up between regional coordinators, the follow-up with fellows, and the follow-up with schools. So oftentimes, a fellow would show up to school and the teacher would say, no, I'm not going to co-plan with you. So what the ministry has set this year is that we need to prove that you guys are doing these things. So evaluation. You will be evaluated by a pedagogy team and your regional coordinators to make sure that things are going well and they're pedagogically useful. We don't want you guys to waste your time sitting in a classroom twiddling your thumbs. And we want the students to learn, we want you guys to learn a lot. And so there's going to be a lot more follow-up. There will be more reporting that you guys have to do, which is maybe why you got a 50,000 peso pay raise. But there will be more follow-up. So I believe that's what evaluation means. Management of class hours. Management of class hours, I think that kind of goes hand in hand with planning. Essentially what you guys do is plan with the teachers. You have different cultural hours, you have teachers' hours, and now you will be evaluated and you have to present documentation. So I'm sorry if I'm not really clear on this, but the pedagogy team at orientation will kind of break that down a little better. We're doing our best to put people back in their schools. Of course, we really like, or I'm a firm believer in continuity within schools, especially schools that ask for the fellows to come back. So that is the idea, to have people who are participating in the press program and whose schools have asked for them back, to be placed in their schools again. There might be some sort of filter applied to that. Full transparency, we have had some people that, because the organization's changed, there's not a good knowledge of what kind of happened in the schools. So there are some people who maybe did not thrive in this process, and we need to make sure that we're not sending them back to the schools where schools specifically asked, please don't send that fellow again. It's very awkward, but it's something that we need to check up on, just to make sure that schools are happy too, because they are essentially the foundation of this program. You are there to work with them. You don't have contact with us, you have contact with your school. So we may ask for proof of that, but for the time being, my final word would be that priority will be given to people who worked in these schools before. Any other questions that you might have? I'll awkwardly wait here for a minute and see if anything comes through, and I'll try and think of frequently asked questions. How are we expected to dress for work? Thank you for your question, Gabrielle. So here in Colombia, you wouldn't guess it today, I'm pretty disheveled. Appearance here in Colombia is very, very important. They take it very seriously. When you get here, you will realize that you will see things that you've probably never seen before. Maybe funny English shirts, lots of funny English shirts. People really care about how they look here. So while we don't have a specific code for you guys, we do ask that it's business casual. Don't show up in shorts to your school. Don't wear flip-flops to your school. Don't show up in mini skirts to your school. Just kind of use your common sense. I like to think of it as, would you wear it to have dinner with your grandma? Just be conscious of how you're dressing. You are working with adolescents, and you want to portray a professional image. So just be conscientious of that. Is the visa end date June 30th? I have to take a peek at a letter, but I believe it's the 30th. Also, really important thing to talk about. I can't stress it enough, and we will probably talk about it time and time again. Your visa will be from the start of the program until the end of the program. This information will be old for people who have participated, but for new people, that is your visa. It is more or less 6 months, right? So with that visa, you are allowed to stay in Colombia for that amount of time. When the date your visa expires, you must leave the country or have made previous arrangements to stay in the country with an extension of that visa. The day your visa ends, La CUN and the program and the ministry are not responsible for your migratory status. So what that means is, if you have a flight out July 1st, you need to get an extension. It's not something that you should take casually, like it's just a day, it's just a few hours. No, like we really need to stress that. Colombian government will fine you. I myself have gotten fined before I presented that I was an actual Colombian. So please, please, please keep that in mind as this program goes on. You must have a plan at the end to deal with your migratory status. That's what I have to say about that. Will we be provided transportation from the airport to the hotel for orientation if we fly in at an appropriate time? Yes, we are planning to shuttle people from the airport. That's why it's super important to send your flight information so we can do the logistics of picking you guys up and getting you to the hotel. Can you repeat the date that we need health insurance coverage still? Thank you, Laura. June 30th, end of the program. You must have coverage. Also, another important thing to mention about insurance. While you guys may have international health insurance, oftentimes FASA it's not a perfect system here, but it's pretty easy and it's pretty cheap. So if you choose, you can have 2 insurances at one time. Oftentimes, we've said in the past, international health insurance usually covers things that are really, really bad. If you break your leg, if you get hit by a car. Not saying, hopefully this doesn't happen. I don't want to jinx anyone. But those are, international health insurance covers for the worst case scenario. FASA is a great system in that, so you have an eye infection. You can quickly go and get that is serviced by your branch of FASA, and it's at very low cost. This also applies to like dental work. I've had fellows in the past who have gone and for 30,000 pesos, like $10, gotten their teeth cleaned. So it's a good system to think about joining. You don't have to. Let me stress that. You do not have to be affiliated with FASA this year, and we will not pay your FASA this year. If you wish to pay your FASA, your regional coordinator can help you affiliate yourself with FASA, but it's not mandatory. Another important thing to note about insurance as well I seem to, embarrassing, I've on camera forgotten what I was going to say. Any other questions? Again, I'll wait for some questions to come through on your end. Laura, yes, this program is working with adolescents. It is a public high school program. As I mentioned earlier, I don't know if you jumped on the webinar just now, but I'm happy to re-answer your question. It is a public school program, so you will be working with high school teachers and high school students. The primary age range is 9th and 10th grade. Again, like I said, there are possibilities. If you work with, they throw you into 11th grade for an hour, they throw you into 8th grade for an hour, but primarily 9th and 10th grade. Also, an important thing to note is for new people, it can be jarring here. You arrive and you think you're going to hop right in with a Colombian teacher, and they know they have great English and it's going to go really well. And that's the idea. That's our hope. That's what keeps this program going. Is the proven improvement in the students. However, it's important to note that Colombian teachers, oftentimes they are not held to the same standard in new school systems as you might find in the US or Australia. A lot of the times the teachers may not know English, even though they're English teachers. It's really hard to find people that are fluent in English in Colombia. Hence why we have this program. We're trying to improve on the English level in Colombia. So just keep that in mind. The teachers they're excited about this program. They like this program. It's an opportunity for them to learn. You'll be working and teaching the teachers as much as the students. So it's important to keep that in mind, and your regional coordinator will help you navigate the relationships between schools and teachers and principals and different actors of the program. Claire and Phil, return flights should be booked June 30th or before. So usually what's happened in the past is that since the visa runs out and it's such a strict system, usually you work out with your school a few days before your visa ends, like, hey, this is my last day, I need to pack, I need to get all my things in order to go back to your home country. So that being said, we do provide you an adequate amount of time to get those things ready so you can leave on that date. So it's important that you book your flight June 30th. If you want to roll the dice and you want to travel after the program, that is possible. However, you will most likely have to do a border run. So what that is a trip to Panama, a trip to Ecuador, a trip to Peru, leaving Colombia, getting that stamp, and then you can re-enter as a tourist. So that's what a lot of participants have done in the past, and then you can come back and you have 90 days to travel. Or it's possible to solicit a salvoconducto, and that is basically a visa extension. Isabel, some people do have placements. Isabel and Steven, placements. I kind of touched on this earlier. We're still working on that system. It's a long process. We're trying to match profiles with cities and with schools. So if you haven't received it, you will soon. For the very least, your city. That is priority right now, receiving which city you'll be in. Quick, get your last minute questions in. I've got to wrap this up. Got many tasks that are pendientes, so I can make sure that you guys all get here happy, safely, and soundly. So if there are any other questions, now is the time to ask. I'm going to wrap this up in the next 5 minutes. Is there any specification for travel insurance? Travel insurance, it should cover you for some basic things. I will speak with Gabriella today to get that information out to you. But it should cover you for like major medical, and the big one is repatriation of remains. That's kind of dark and worst case scenario, but that means that if something fatal happened to you here, that your body would get sent back to your home country. So that's an important one to have. Many people can get insurances, but that clause isn't in all of insurance. Just to clarify, you all are seeing about our visas for us. Gabriella, I'm not really sure what that question means. Are you asking, are we helping with that process? If so, yes. I explained it earlier in this webinar, so pop back on once you get the recording and check out what I said about that process. Will we be able to maintain contact with our regional coordinator throughout the program for support if needed, or someone else? Yes. Regional coordinators are, in their contracts, supposed to be available 24/7 for anything you need. Well, as a regional coordinator, I say anything no, because we have had people call regional coordinators and ask for Gatorade delivery, and that's not what the regional coordinators do. But if you are going to the bank and you don't speak Spanish, they are all certified Spanish speakers. They know Spanish, they can help you translate. If you need to go to the doctor, they are available to go with you to the doctor. You are supposed to it's part of the nativo. We call you guys nativos. It's part of the fellow's responsibility to maintain contact with the regional coordinator. You will have monthly meetings with them where it's just a check-in to see how you're doing and to keep tabs on you. There will be social events that they provide. They will be doing school visits. So you will be in constant contact with these regional coordinators. So they're definitely going to be your support network. Will there be a contract sent to us soon? Sent to sign, for us to sign soon. Excuse me. It's important to keep in mind, you guys at the end of the day are volunteers. You guys are not under a contract. You guys will sign a participant agreement. And currently, it's still being edited and revised by the legal team. It is a legally revised document. It's not a contract because you guys are volunteers. But you guys will get that soon. It's a participant agreement agreeing to your teaching hours, agreeing to standards. We hold you guys to a certain standard. No relations with students, no use of drugs and alcohol. You cannot show up to school drunk or hungover, just things like that. So we're still getting that all sorted out. It's important to note, I just thought of what I forgot about earlier. Visas. If you currently have a valid cedula in Colombia, please contact someone from contact Gabriela. That could be an issue. If you have a cedula that is currently active, that means that you have a visa already. You are not allowed to have a volunteer visa and a work visa. That is super important to stress. So if you solicit a volunteer visa while you have a work visa, it will most likely be denied because you're not allowed to have two visas. And with this program, it's a pretty full-time program. You're going to be teaching a lot. You're going to be planning a lot. You're going to be doing activities. So we prohibit outside work for you guys. You cannot have a working relationship with any other organization, and especially not a visa. Live broadcast will not be at 2 anymore. This is kind of the live broadcast for today. If you've missed it, we're going to send out a recorded transmission. If by popular demand you would like another webinar, we will have an opportunity to do one more. But orientation is coming up. There's a Facebook group. There's lots of information out there. So this will be the last one. Will there be opportunities for to continue with the program after June, or do you not know at this point? Isabel, this year in Colombia is a year of elections, and since this is a government-funded program, it is very up in the air right now. So at this point, it's definitely from January till June. After that, do not plan on having a program again. If we come back in May and say, hey guys, we have picked up a contract and we're going to continue, that's best case scenario. But in the meantime, this will be the only program for this year. Do you need to apply for visas ahead of our arrival? Like I mentioned, if you're from a restricted nation, you need to have a visa before you get here. All other nations, we are asking you to have the visa when you get here. It can be a long process, and you have to get your visa stamped in your passport in Bogota. You will be in Bogota until February 5th. What does that mean? You need to have your visa published by February 5th. So the sooner the better. I have a resident visa. Is this a problem? Mark please email someone. Please email Gabriela. We had some questions about this in the past, but we need to confirm this. So please privately message them. All right, guys. I'm logging off now. Gotta get back to work. Remember, check out the Facebook group. That will be a source of immediate information. Many fellows are answering questions, and we really appreciate it. And if you don't have Facebook and it's urgent, send an email to Gabriela. So thanks for tuning in. I hope this was useful. We're going to be sending recorded versions of these webinars to you, so you can go back and see what I had to say. And I look forward to meeting you guys soon. You're going to be seeing a lot of my face, hearing a lot of my scratchy, screechy voice soon. But we're all excited for you to come. This is a great program. It's pretty life-changing and something that I'm really passionate about, which is why I continue with this project. And yeah, take care. Saludos. Nos vemos.